So, don't mind me. It's interesting. Um, when you figure out that the use of so many antibiotics on bodies at a deficit, like the use of so many antibiotics and different therapies and whatever, then causes the body to go into a positive. Okay? And what that means is that then there's aggressive energy that wants to live. So the more aggressive you get with the negative, the more aggressive the positive, because that's how everything balances out. And so it's like, oh, I get it now. I really have a legitimate issue with the medical holistic system. I know the people in it don't know any better when you think about it, and they've already invested their body, mind, and spirit in their licenses, in their followers, in their medicines, in their remedies, that now to say, okay, everything they did really contributed to the issue, which is the cancer, disease, and chronic illness and autoimmune disorders. How do they pull themselves out of it? That's the issue that is going on here, that people in the medical holistic system are fighting within themselves, but some don't even want to admit their hand in it, which I get it. And so earlier today, I have people that are professionals that are in my group that are in the medical holistic system. They're on my page. I know they follow me too, and I'm fine with that. I don't have too many issues unless you come onto my page and you start dropping different jargon, or you start questioning, what I'm doing and all that. And then I'm just like, dude, just read the pinned post, whatever. But it's when this is what my gut told me a few years ago, that the politer you are, the more you have something to hide. Okay? I don't want to be polite, and I don't want to be kind, or I don't want to be loving. I want to be matter of fact, and I want to give you the information. You make the choice. Yes, you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar. I understand that concept too. But it's like, this is where the patients in our society who don't know why they're doing what they're doing, and they're trusting someone who's kind, who is nice, who's amiable, who's loving, who also has a financial benefit. And that could be directly because they're a husband or a wife, and they can't afford to have their husband or wife out of a job, and so they have to give them all the different therapies and things to stop the energy. But there's also another direct benefit, or indirect, but direct also, is when you are taking on a patient who wants to stop the pain, doesn't know why they're in pain, no one has told them why they're in pain. And so then the direct benefit is, well, if I end the suffering of my patient, they're going to come back to me every single time they suffer. And so you might see your doctor or your holistic professional maybe once or twice out of the year, if that. And then as years progress, then it's now 3 or 4 times out of the year. Then as things progress, now it's 5 or 6 times out of the year. Now you're getting certain things that you're like, what the hell? And they have to go and give you a different remedy, supplement, prescription drug, surgery. And so then you see the order of operations. You see then why cancer happens. Okay? But you're never going to see a holistic or an allopathic professional tell you why cancer happens. They're going to be like, well, we don't know. Well, I've already linked it to viruses. I already linked it to that viruses from a negative, which is your lymphatic system, when they're going out and hitting a positive, and the person doesn't assimilate to it, they're adding more negatives to their system, like chemotherapy, like holistic supplements. Hold on, sugar. Like all the different remedies that are heavy negatives. What do you think is going to happen when the body sees that there is now a deficit? That's when the cancer, the disease, the autoimmune disorders, the food allergies happen because of the continuous use and practice of seeing your holistic allopathic professional. And so the more they apply more aggressive therapies, the more the body's going to want to live, and the cancer and all the life in the body that wants to live is going to redouble its efforts. It's going to get stronger and stronger, which is why that even morphine doesn't work for people when they're at the end of their line. Then it's rest in peace. And so when I explain to the person who is a holistic professional, and they're out there in Australia, so yeah, they're a continent away, whatever, fine. And, and she said that, my son has some kind of teratoma on their pineal gland. And I'm like, okay. I gave her a recent post that talked about the salt and the water and the positive versus the negative, and that you got to feel pain, you got to feel the energy, you got to feel all this stuff, right? So that way you know that you're merging and evolving with the environment. Because if you're a heavy positive and you're getting a virus, that's a heavy negative, you still have to reconcile with that. If you're a heavy negative and you're bringing in salt, which is a positive, and the food supply, it's going to be evolutionary. It's going to be energy. And so I am not trying to blame those who are in the industry for why their kids have the issues. But then when you think about it, it's not just the parents' fault why the kids have the issues. It's also the parents following a system of order of operations of using so many negatives on a positive that eventually cancer, disease, and chronic illness and autoimmune disorders will happen at some point, if not way early on in the game, because of how much you've used maybe when you were pregnant as far as holistic remedies or antibiotics, or what your predecessors used in the past if they were all into the holistic. And so it doesn't surprise me that people who are in the medical holistic system have children or have relatives who are really incapacitated or are fighting a disease. And it could be like, again, the teratomas, the carcinomas, the cancers, and the tumors, and all the crazy things that we see. And so when you think about the medical holistic system, they know that when you are releasing viruses, because they know viruses have existed ever since the beginning of time, okay? And that's where all the horror movies come from. Is when someone has so much negative in them, and then a positive comes in, and then they get these big, huge lumps and things, and they're like, what's going on? And they don't realize that they are growing another entity. Though it's rare, but because we have modern medicine to go and stop the other entities and just keep the single person. But they don't talk about the salt. I have not seen any holistic professional on my page who's been in my Jilly Juice ground tell anybody on their Facebook, and they have followers that said, okay, the salt is the answer here as far as releasing those excess demons that are causing all the different teratomas, carcinomas, cancers, and tumors. Release those excess entities. Also neutralize or kind of calm down the energy of the cells that are not in this huge mass, okay? And allow the rest of the cells to catch up and then eat food to build up your strength. I have not seen I haven't seen her put that on her Facebook. No, because if she's in the holistic medical system, that would conflict. That would be a conflict of interest for her to put that information out there. And so then what do? They then throw the industry jargon, trying to act like they were saying one thing and I was taking them as saying something else. And then I realized what was going on. Here's the thing. What the medical industry does on the outside of the person's body, a person can do on their own on the inside of the body. And so when you have pumps inside of your cells that pump in sodium chloride and water and everything else, it also pumps it out. Yes, there is the positive and negative, and there is intelligence to the body. Do you really have to go down that kind of rabbit hole unless you are in the industry wanting to distract people from the bigger picture, which it goes on all over the conspiracy world? Yes, there are elements of truth in the details, but there's a bigger picture going on. But the medical holistic industry gets lost in the details. And so then I'm like, well, no, I don't do supplements. No, I don't do any kind of like, holistic or allopathic or anything like that. She's like, oh no, it's something that goes on in the cell. It's intracellular. Oh no, you didn't say that. I don't know. I'm kind of like reacting a little bit, but that's the thing, is that all cells have the ability to pump in what it needs to pump out. Do you have to know exactly the mechanisms per second? And of course, it's attached to the lymphatic system. All of your cells and salt and everything is attached to your lymphatic system. But the reason why people compartmentalize in the medical holistic industry is because they're trying to commandeer aspects. They're trying to compartmentalize, and they're trying to isolate so they can go in and use a nip and a tuck in a holistic remedy or invasive surgery or something. That's why they know such detailed knowledge about your cells. Now, I know detailed knowledge about the cells, enough for me to understand the bigger picture, and I understand the world that I live in. But I'm not trying to isolate a specific thing and only, like I did, yes, when I'm learning about all this stuff, I isolate everything, then I put it all together and I give you the bigger picture. Will I put the actual details of everything I learned the last 3 or 4 years as far as all the details of the cells? I might, to give you a background of where I got this from and how I learned this. Not that you couldn't read my Facebook and go down the last 3 years of my freaking life, but that's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. So I will probably put some details in the book. But the medical system and the holistic system goes into such detail, and so you get lost in the details, and then you're like, oh, you're missing glutathione. And then you hear then you see all the supplements industry put a whole meme that says, yeah, the benefits of glutathione. And the lack of glutathione equals cancer. The lack of glutathione equals this. And I'm thinking like, oh, well, cancer is the body wanting to live because you're taking so many fucking antibiotics and holistic remedies and invasive surgeries, or you're doing so much drugs, and you're saying that the lack of glutathione is why people have cancer? Well, so you add more glutathione, you don't get cancer. Then what you're doing is you're using that glutathione as an antibiotic against the life in your body. That's what you're seeing in the medical holistic system. Because people don't understand that cancer is life. It's life trying to dying to live, because people are using the medical holistic system at such an aggressive level that the body has to find a way to survive, like a gasping for breath flower trying to push through the freaking cement, a cracked cement sidewalk. And so, not that her followers are going to understand this, because they're already hypnotized. When you see holistic and medical professionals with such a big following, they already hypnotize their audience. But they're not going to hypnotize me. They're not going to play those games of like, oh, I'm going to throw jargon here, or be so kind and empathetic or whatever, or be so like, oh, I'm a pompous asshole, arrogant. I've seen those too. I've seen the nice holistic allopathic professionals who are so amiable and so polite and so whatever. I've seen the assholes. I've seen the arrogant ones. And I'm just like, holy shit. This is what gets people caught up in that tractor beam of the downward trajectory. It's what's so crazy about dealing with the Jilly Juice world and what I've been up against and what I've dealt with. I have seen and dealt with so many different types of people across the globe, all different personality types in all professions. And they're not that different, except they're smug with their degrees. They're complacent. And so when I asked a couple years ago if a holistic professional would let her degree go, get out of the Rockefeller medicine, and put her money where her mouth is, She wouldn't do it. Of course not. Why would you, right? When you have so much money and people who don't know any better who are desperate. Because you want to end their suffering. When you end somebody's suffering, that's called euthanasia. And so I'm completely opposite. So when I was getting attacked by all the negatives in our society, it made me stronger and it made me want to live and figure it out. And I guess that was the point of Hollywood. Dr. Phil was the more aggressively I was attacked, I either was going to get destroyed by the industry and by all the followers, or it was going to make me fucking stronger, right? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you guys, is that the more you see your holistic allopathic professional to end your suffering, you think you get stronger, but look at the people around you. They're dropping like flies. They're aging. They're degrading. They have cancer, disease, and chronic illness. They're emaciated, or they're extremely obese, and they have other issues. They're getting surgeries. So you really think them adding all those antibiotics to your body on a continuous basis, even when your body gets cancer, which is the strength of your body trying to live, it may be giving you a better future? Because cancer could be like a better future for you if you feed it. It could be a better prototype. But no, what do? When you're gaining strength from your antibiotics, when your body wasn't at a deficit and now your body's at a deficit, now you get cancer in response to the negative. Then what people do, they go and get chemotherapy, radiation, get stuff taken out, scooped out, surgically removed. And then look what happens. They're in palliative care. They're in hospice. The holistic system gives the medical system the patients in hospice and palliative care. And so they both work hand in hand. And so I'm letting you guys know that that's how it works with those that know the jargon of the holistic, of the allopathic, of all the medical remedies, nutritive, integrative nutritionists and all that. They use the industry jargon so that way you don't really have a relationship to what they're really doing, and maybe they don't even know what they're doing themselves when you think about it. I think most people with licenses, whether they have a medical degree, a PhD in their prospective fields, or when they have just a nursing assistant's license, I don't think they know exactly what they're doing. They were just doing what they're told to do from their textbook, from their industry professional leaders. And it's like just following orders, sir. That's like what soldiers do when they're doing something that's unethical. They're just following orders. Wow. At some point, you're going to have to realize what the hell you're doing, holistic and allopathic. I understand that we needed to nation build, we needed to innovate. But now that you have this information, you've been on my Facebook, especially if you've been in my group and you're a holistic professional, and you're mocking me and playing those bullshit hypnotic succubus games, I'm going to call you out on it. And I'm going to post it all over my fucking Facebook so people understand what the holistic people do and what the medical people do. They hide behind jargon. And then they laugh at you. Oh, you didn't understand what I was talking about. Oh, that pissed me off. And so I'm just like, okay, I get what's going on here. Here's a manipulation. This is what I dealt with for the last couple years from many of the holistic energy healing people. That's why you see me react so much and kicking them out left and right, because they're like the little demons that didn't want me to put out this information at the gut level. I was challenging their professions, and it was a conflict of interest. They shouldn't be in my group. They shouldn't be on my page. If anything, they should be out there hiding. Because now you realize that when you have so many aggressive, heavy negatives in your profession, like your remedies and your surgeries, you're going to have aggressive, heavy positives, and you're going to have cancer, teratomas, carcinomas, sarcomas. And your profession, what you do for a living, contributing to that. And your kids are suffering from that. Take responsibility, but don't come on my page and mock me and throw jargon at me as if I didn't know what the hell you're talking about, because I knew what you were talking about. I just didn't understand the context of where you're going. Because again, you can have pumps like electrolytes and intravenous stuff pumping salt in people's bodies to deal with their lymphatic system. Oh, but no, she was talking about intracellular, but she didn't say that. Of course she didn't say that. She didn't take responsibility and say, oh, I meant that. That's right, you shouldn't take. She wouldn't say you don't take supplements. She would never fucking say that. So, now you know why I react to the holistic people in my group and on my page. That's why they don't say too much. She was the only one that was left that I still had an issue with, but I didn't say too much because it hadn't come up, and it wasn't the right time. But then there was the evidence, and so that's where I posted it. Now it's there forever. Now you see why I get very reactive to the holistic people in my group and on my page. Because of what they do. They don't talk in regular plain English. They purposely use the jargon. And that's how you don't know what the hell they're doing. And they don't think they even know what the hell they're doing. Or they wouldn't be asking the questions. Bye.